4. Interpretation and writing research report, preparation and presentation. In research methodology, till unit 3rd, we have discussed all the ways to do our research, like what should be the questionnaire, what should be the question on which we want to do the research, that is like what is our research topic, what should be the appropriate sample for that particular research topic, how we have to select that sample, what should be sample size, what should be the scale to measure, and are like whether our scales are authentic, reliable, valid or not. Till unit 3rd, we have covered all these things. Now the final topic which come in research methodology is the preparation of a research report. Research report is like a theoretical or a hard copy of whatever you have done in your research. You are presenting that particular thing in the form of a report to the person, to the concerned person, and to the general public for which you have done this particular research. So research report is basically summarizing or basically collecting all the work which you have done in such a way so that you can show that particular work for the required for the purpose for which it was done. Interpretation in research report is a task of drawing inferences from the collected fact after the analytical study. It means whatever we have done, now we are, after doing the analysis of the data, now we are interpreting that particular task which we have completed. What has been observed by the researcher in the course of study can be better understood, and it also provides a theoretical conception which can serve as a guide for further research. It basically means जब आप research report preparation की बात कर रहे हैं, so what you are doing, whatever you have done till now, जो भी आपने काम किया, now you are preparing that in the form of a hard copy and presenting it to the person for which that particular research was done. This is a theoretical conception, but this particular theoretical conception can be presented in a given format. Research report का एक अपना fixed given format होता है, and you have to follow that particular format. If you are not following that particular format, then your preparation or a report is not perfect, and it will be lagging in the sense of perfection. A research report is basically a written document or an oral presentation based on a written document that communicates the purpose, scope, objective, hypothesis, methodology, finding, limitation, and finally recommendation of a research project to others. So what is the purpose of designing a research report? You want to communicate कि आपने क्या काम किया, कैसे वो काम किया, किस hypothesis को लेके काम किया, क्या limitations आपको face करनी पड़ी. All of these things you write in a copy, you write in a hard copy, and you submit it to the concerned person. This is the last stage of a research process. A record of the research process, not mere a summary of finding, a mean of communication that can be understood, believed, trusted by everyone who are likely to be affected by the research and acted upon by the decision maker. For example, अगर आपको, if you feel like that you want to do the research on these particular days of coronavirus and lockdown, how these particular steps are impacting our social lives or are impacting our mindset, अगर आपको ऐसी किसी चीज पे research करनी है, so you will start working on them. You will prepare a hypothesis, a research question, then you will collect a sample and you will check whether the sample is correct or not. Then there will be a scaling, testing, analysis of the data. And when finally you come out with a result, it is your responsibility to show that result to the public that yes, I have done this particular work and this is the outcome. हमें लगता है कि इस पर्टिकुलर लॉकडाउन और इस पर्टिकुलर सिनेरियो में लोगों का माइंडसेट इस तरह से चेंज हुआ. देयर वर सम पॉजिटिव थिंग्स, देयर वर सम नेगेटिव थिंग व्हिच इज बेस्ड ऑन द एनालिसिस व्हिच यू हैव डन. You can represent all these things in the form of a report. So research report is a mean of communication that can be understood, believed, trusted by everyone. Why will it will be trusted by everyone? Because you are giving a valid sources कि आपने कहाँ से research किया है, कौन से टेस्ट लगाए. So it is trusted by everyone who are likely to be affected by the research. And these particular research, जो ये research अगर आप आज करते हो, इस research report को prepare करते हो, this particular research report will be a reference for further, like further time, or in like sometime in future after 15 to 20 or 30 to 40 years, अगर ऐसी कोई चीज दोबारा आती है, then people will go to this particular research report which is an hard copy of what the government has done, कैसे आया, गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, कैसे कंट्रोल किया. तो ये एक रेफरेंस की तरह लिया जाएगा अगर ऐसा कोई पैंडेमिक दोबारा आता है तो. So research reports are basically used ताकि future time में या कोई नया कुछ हम उस चीज से related करने जा रहे हैं, then this can be used as a base and we can follow this and we can add on something to it. The researcher has to convince the client and other who may read the report that research finding can be acted on for their own benefit. आप क्या करेंगे? You have to like make other people realize that yes, this research finding can be acted on for their own benefits. Types of research report. A research report contains description or methodology, result obtained, and recommendations made. The basic orientation of a research report depends on its audience. Now what happening? The orientation of a research report, आपने क्या किया, depends on the audience. Before writing the report, it is very important that the researcher must know his or her audience. It is very important for you to understand what is your audience on which you are working. She may have to take assumptions about the composition, background, and interests of the target readers. Now, this is like a diagrammatical representation of how a research report is prepared. Data analysis is done before writing a report. During the report writing, the interpretation of research finding, report preparation, and oral presentations are done. After you have written your report, that particular report will be read by the client, and that particular client will give a follow-up. So research is defining a problem and doing the analysis. This all work we do before writing a report. Once we are done with our analysis part and we know what is the outcome, now we can present that particular outcome in the form of a hard copy, that is interpretation of research finding and report preparations. Before writing the report, the researcher should discuss the major finding, conclusions क्या रहे आपके, क्या आप recommend कर रहे हैं for the basic key decision makers. Now, if you will connect this with your minor projects or minor or summer internship projects which you are going to do somewhere after a month or 2 months, whenever the situations will be normal, so you have to prepare a report on whatever work you have done. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप किसी फाइनेंशियल कंपनी में काम कर रहे हैं एंड यू आर वर्किंग ऑन अ रेशियो एनालिसिस ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर फाइनेंशियल कंपनी, so what you will do the analysis of all the ratios, you will collect the secondary data, you will take last 5 year data, do the analysis, and then you prepare a report. वो रिपोर्ट आपको क्या बताएगी? आप कंपनी को ये बताएंगे कि on the basis of last 5 years this is what we have find, these are our major findings. The SWOT analysis of the company, like this, these are the strength, weakness, and opportunity threats for the company as per our reports and our work. Finally, we conclude this and we recommend these points to you. If you will implement this particular point, then basically the company will be having more profit. अगर आप एचआर पे कोई रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं तो आप इसी तरह से कहेंगे कि अगर एचआर अपनी पॉलिसीज में ये और ऐड करता है जो हमारी फाइंडिंग्स कहती हैं कि रिटेंशन रेशियो को बढ़ाने के लिए हमें ये चीजें और ऐड करनी चाहिए, देन द कंपनी विल ग्रो. सो दिस इज द पर्पस ऑफ मेकिंग अ रिपोर्ट. You are giving your recommendation to the key decision maker. It is necessary to ensure that report meet the client's need. The entire research report should be summarized in a single written report or in several reports as per the requirement. Now the report format. This is the basic step for designing a report. The report format is, it starts with the title of the page, then letter of transmittal, table of content. Table of content, it means what all chapters are there, एक particular chapters को आपने कितने सब chapters में divide किया है, क्या क्या contents use किए हैं, कितने tables use किए हैं, list of graph, list of appendices and exhibits, and finally the executive summary. Executive summary, what it will do? In short, it will show you all the major finding, conclusion and recommendation. For example, if I'm a person and I don't want to read the whole report, I just want to know what are the findings and how can I work on that particular finding. So I will just go to the executive summary of your report and will check out the finding, conclusions and recommendation. This will work for me. The first chapter of your report is introduction. Introduction is basically about the background to the problem and statement to the problem. What is the background to the problem? It means like if you are working on the particular problem, तो उस problem से related पहले क्या काम हुआ है, क्या चीज है, वो क्या चीज है, इसको कैसे define करोगे. This is the basic background of the problem. Statement of problem says now you feel that this is the particular problem on which you are going to work. Approach to the problem. In this particular chapter you will give a detail of your layout, how much, like what steps you will be following, what will the sequence of the step on which you will be doing the research work. Third chapter will be your research design. It will say whether your data is a secondary data or a primary data. Secondary data का क्या मतलब है? Whether it is collected from different available sources or whether primary data क्या होगा? When you prepare a questionnaire and interact with people, then it become your primary data. आपके क्वेश्चंस में आपने कौन सी स्केलिंग टेक्निक यूज की है, आप एनालिसिस करते हुए कौन से स्केल्स यूज कर रहे हैं, हाउ इज द क्वेश्चनर डेवलप्ड, व्हाट वाज द प्री टेस्टिंग रिजल्ट ऑफ योर क्वेश्चनर, सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक आपने क्या यूज की, एंड फाइनली द फील्ड वर्क. सो रिसर्च डिजाइन विल गिव एन ओवरव्यू ऑफ ऑल दीज थिंग्स. The next chapter will be your data analysis chapter, which will be very important for the person who want to take something out of a research report. जो भी आपका रिसर्च रिपोर्ट होगा, अगर समर इंटर्नशिप का होता है, माइनर का भी होता है, तो फाइनली the examiner will go to this particular chapter that this is the data analysis, what work you have done. कहाँ से डेटा कलेक्ट किया, कितना डेटा कलेक्ट किया, उस डेटा को आपने एनालाइज कैसे किया, कौन सा टेस्ट लगाया, वेदर यू आर वर्किंग ऑन chi-square और अनोवा आपने क्या यूज किया है, एंड फाइनली व्हाट आर द रिजल्ट्स, what limitation you face during this particular research process, and what finally you conclude and recommend to the company. ये तो बेसिक चीजें हैं यहाँ तक की conclusions and recommendations तक. Now bibliography and references, what does it mean? Bibliography and references mean कि आपने अपना काम करते वक्त आपने जो research report prepare किया, you might have followed someone or you might have used some sources from where you have collected the information. जो हमने कहा कि हाँ हमारे काम करने से पहले कुछ लोगों ने काम किया, हमने उनसे reference लिया कि उनके views क्या थे. So bibliography is mentioning all that sources from where you have taken the information. आपने जिन जिन sources से information collect किया है, आप उन पर्टिकुलर सोर्सेज को क्या करते हैं, बिब्लियोग्राफी में उन पर्टिकुलर सोर्सेज को मेंशन करते हैं, रेफरेंस करते हैं. बिकॉज फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपने कोई डेटा मतलब कोई टेबल डाला एंड यू हैव नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड दैट टेबल बाय योर ओन, यू हैव टेकन इट फ्रॉम सम रिसोर्सेज. Now I am a person who is reading your report. I want to check the authenticity of that particular table. तो मेरे लिए बहुत important होगा जानना है कि वो report या table कहाँ से आया है. So in the bibliography part or the reference part, you have to mention कि you have taken this particular source or this particular table from that particular source. आपने इस source से लिया, आपको ये mention करना पड़ता है. So in your report, if you have taken anything from any other work, you have to mention that particular thing in the bibliography and references. Appendix is finally all the tables or extra things which you want to include. For example, अगर आप finance की report बनाते हैं तो appendix का part आपका हो जाता है balance sheets, profit and loss account, statements last 5 year के, जहाँ से आपने ratio लिए हैं या जहाँ से data लेके आपने ratios collect किए हैं. Then finally अगर primary research है तो questionnaire हो जाएगा, secondary research है तो questionnaire will not be there, right? Report writing is basically how beautifully you are presenting your work, कितना professionally आप अपने काम को present कर रहे हो, कितना beautifully present कर रहे हैं. The objective should be very much clear. Report writing should always be guided by objective, methodology, result and conclusion of the project. Concise, it should be concise. आपको पूरी कहानी नहीं लिखनी है. You have to find out the exact words to represent whatever you have done. If there are table, pictures, graphs and map, it will increase the value of your research report, which I always say कि अगर आप exam की copy में भी लिख रहे हैं, and if you are showing it in a graphical manner, on a tabular manner, that will increase the value of your copy and it helps in increasing the marks. आपका जब visual add हम add करने लगते हैं, then presentation जो होती है आपकी, it increases and it will help in gaining more marks. And finally, presentation, that depends on what quality of the paper you are using. There shouldn't be any typing mistake. Binding should be very attractive. आपने देखा होगा कई बार ऐसा होता है कि you are coming with a minor report और अगर binding में कुछ problem है, we will say you go and rebind it, because it is very important कि आपका जो report है that should be more presentable, because that will be the first look जो आपका binding होगा, it will be more presentable by nature. एक professional look होना चाहिए उसमें. Some basic points to be made, like to be kept in mind while writing a report, that a report should be as per the reader, what reader want and what type of language or what type of complexity or the sophistication reader want in the report. We should be totally adhere to the objective of this study. It should be, your report should be very easy so that it can be logically followed by or everyone, and everyone should go through it easily. Every table should have a number and brief. Basic unit of measurement should be clearly stated. The arrangement of data items should emphasize the most important aspect of data being presented. If the table presents secondary data, the source must be cited clearly. In case of secondary data, you have to mention the source from where you have taken that particular data. अब आता है guidelines for bibliography. Actually, this particular unit, from this particular unit, mostly what type of questions you will be getting are short notes or a theoretical questions on which you have to write down how will you prepare a research report, what are the guidelines you have to follow for the preparation of a report, or what things you have to keep in mind while preparing a research report. So bibliography is what I told you कि आप at the end of your report आप ये mention कर दो कि आपने कहाँ कहाँ किस particular source से information ली है और अपने research में include की है. But bibliography लिखने का एक proper तरीका होता है. It should be like the name of the author, year in which the work is published, what was the title of the work, and what was the press or the journal in which that particular thing was, that particular paper was published. This is the way to write a bibliography, but there are certain styling on which we can write a bibliography, which are the authorized styling from the UGC norms. First is your APA style referencing. There are two parts of referencing: the citation within the text of your paper and the reference list at the end of your paper. In APA style में आप क्या करते हैं, बेसिकली दो पार्ट में डिवाइड करते हैं. जहां आपने अपनी रिसर्च की रिपोर्ट में यूज किया है वहां पे आप एक छोटा सा साइटेशन देते हैं और जो डिटेल होता है वो अपनी लास्ट में एंड में रेफरेंस लिस्ट में डालते हैं. ये ऑथर डेट स्टाइल होती है. So it should be having the author name and the year of publication. Only the surname of the author should be used, followed by the year of publication and page number if required. Now this is the format जो हमें bibliography में अगर आपको APA style करने को कहा है तो APA style में you have to follow this particular format. आपको जनरली शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस में लिखने को आ जाता है what is the APA style, what is the format to be followed when you are using a APA style. So APA style is the style given by authorized personnel to be used when we are writing a bibliography or when we are writing references. It is divided in two parts. First part is mentioned at the time of, like in the mid of the research report, and the final, the description is mentioned at the end of the research report in the reference section. It should be like surname of the authors only, no name, only surname of the authors. If there are two authors, then it should be like this, Carbon and Pervin. Now there are two authors, so we have used two surnames, and year of publication and the page number from which you have taken the references. If you are using that particular thing in book, journal, article, आप कुछ भी use कर रहे हैं as a reference, format should always remain same. It should be between the research report and at the end it should be like this. These are the author name. Now there is no surname, on the only author name, year of publication, what was the title of the research paper, and what is the subtitle, कौन सा edition है और किस journal में किस publisher ने इसको publish किया. So this is a proper format in which you have to mention your bibliography. आपको जो APS स्टाइल में है, आपको रेफरेंस में जब आप एंड में लिखोगे जैसे पूरा लिखना पड़ेगा. अगर आप ऊपर साइटेशन को लिखते हो बीच के रिसर्च रिपोर्ट में, then there is a different format for that. It should be surname of the author, year of publication, and page number from where you have taken the reference. You will not mention the name of the title of the work or from which you are taking अगर आप citation पे काम कर रहे हो तो. The second style is your Mls Style of Referencing. In Mls style, the writers place references to the source in the paper to briefly identify them and enable readers to find them in work cited list. आप क्या करते हैं, बेसिकली एमएलए स्टाइल भी है एक तरीका रेफरेंसिंग का ही, बट इट इज वेरी कंसाइज बाय नेचर. आप टू द पॉइंट बात करते हैं और एट द एंड पे ऑफ योर स्टाइल आप देते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, दिस इज योर इन एमएलए स्टाइल इट शुड बी ऑथर नेम, टाइटल ऑफ द सोर्स, टाइटल ऑफ द कंटेनर इफ इट इज देयर, अदर कंट्रीब्यूटर्स आर देयर, वर्जन्स क्या था आपका, पब्लिशर, पब्लिकेशन डेट, लोकेशन. इनमें से आपके पास जो जो इन्फॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल होगी आप एमएलए स्टाइल में इसी तरह से मेंशन करेंगे. सबसे पहले ऑथर नेम, द नेम इज इन्वर्टेड. इन्वर्टेड का मींस है द सरनेम शुड फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट एंड देन द ओरिजिनल नेम. अगर दो ऑथर है तो फर्स्ट ऑथर का नेम इन्वर्टेड होगा, सेकंड ऑथर का नेम नॉर्मल की तरह लिखा जाएगा. अगर दो से ज्यादा ऑथर है देन वी विल राइट द नेम ऑफ द फर्स्ट ऑथर ओनली एंड एट द एंड वी विल राइट .etal. टाइटल ऑफ द सोर्स, अगर बुक से लिया है आपने होल बुक टाइटल एंड इट शुड बी इटलाइज्ड बाय नेचर. It is put in quotation mark if the source is a part of bigger item like an article से अगर आपने लिया है. अगर कुछ भी untitled कहीं से लिया है then it should be in a quotes only. Container, if there are any containers that are mentioned during the research process then it should be in a utilized manner. Then contributors, versions आपके क्या है, generally you don't include contributors and versions because hardly they are mentioned for the research process. Publisher name is very important. अगर multiple publisher हैं तो आपको उन्हें स्टेज से जो है separate करना होगा. Date of publication is important and location. Location means if what is the page number, what is the URL on which from where you have taken. This is the MLA style of representation. APS styles and MLA styles are generally used for the referencing of the bibliographies, and if for your concern it comes as a short notes in your exams. The third point which is important is Jbl classification. Now what happening, you are doing a research, all of us are preparing a report. Now the quality of the report which you have prepared, it matters from person to person. Some person work very hardly on their research reports and they prepare a quality work. Some take it lightly and that particular quality level is not matched. So what the journals basically do, they follow some classifications. Classifications का mean है they have defined the codes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and according to the quality of your paper, they will be putting your papers in those particular codes. In economic journals, we basically use Jbl classification code. It is a system originated by Journal of Economic Literature. American Economic Association ने इसे authorized किया है. Now this is the format in which the Jbl classify your papers. Jbl has different codes. Code A is for general economics, code B is for history of economics, and different other courses, other codes and their categories. Now a particular code A, for example, if we talk about code A, there are sub part in code A according to the quality of paper. A1, A2, A3, A10. The more better the paper will be, it will be on a higher code, higher category. For example, 1, 2, 3. अगर आपका paper की quality अच्छी नहीं है, if it is like a normal paper, then it will be on somewhere on a A10, A11. So these are the codes. This is basically one example of Jbl classification. There is also economic journals. There can be engineering journals, management journals, अलग-अलग journals हैं, वो अलग-अलग classifications follow करते हैं for your paper, for the type of your paper, of the research work you have done, and then it is classified. Finally, this the report presentation was the theoretical part. Now the finally last thing which comes is your oral presentation. Oral presentation is when you are presenting whatever you have done in a written report. अब आप क्या क्या होता है माइनर में आप जो रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करते हैं या जो हम इंटर्नशिप में या मेजर की रिपोर्ट जो प्रिपेयर करते हैं, finally it is concluded with a presentation or a viva. So a viva is or a presentation is an adequate time given to the researcher to read out what is the basic like what is the basic output of that particular process or output of that particular report. A good presentation doesn't mean a lengthy presentation. It should carefully select all the visual aids like graph, table, charts जो आपको लगता है कि statistical tables आप use कर सकते हैं, not too many, but the important one you have to use all those during the oral presentation. And during this particular oral presentation, the people or the guide who are sitting there as a panel will ask for the clarifications. You have to clarify what the work you have done. You have to justify your work that you have done it by yourself and solve the queries which the researcher feel that yes, there are some problems. So basically, the fourth or the final part of research methodology is preparing a hard copy, that is preparing a research report in a given fixed format. Like it should be introduction, then formula, problem statement, research design, data analysis, then your findings and bibliography. A bibliography or a reference should follow a formal style of presentation. It should be like APA, MLA, or whatever style is mentioned according to the norms. You have to follow that particular style. For example, in APA, if we are talking about the reference at the end of the report, then it will be like name of the author, then year of publication, what was the title, किस जर्नल किस पब्लिशर ने पब्लिश की, कौन से एडिशन में पब्लिश की, आपको सारी चीजें मेंशन करनी पड़ती. दैट इज वी आर मेंशनिंग द सोर्सेज फ्रॉम वेयर यू हैव टेकन द इंफॉर्मेशन. And finally, the oral presentation. Oral presentation is you have to present the work which you have done in a given limited time in front of a panel, and that panel will ask a query to you and you have to solve out the particular query or justify your work which you have done. So read, write, edit, and read is first you read what the work has been done before you start doing the work. Then you write or you start doing your research. After you do your research and write your report, edit the report as per the requirements of the panel, and then again read it. So you have to follow this process again and again until you get the best result out of your research process. So this is finally the unit 4, which is basically preparing a report only. The second part of unit 4 is the lab work, which we will be starting very soon. But for that, you have to take SPSS version. Just wait for a while.